Hola! Welcome to this week's live, you guys, where we're gonna talk about saan ba mas better mag-apply for the digital nomad visa here in Spain. Dapat ba mag-apply ako sa consulate in the Philippines or whichever consulate is in my country of residence right now? Or dapat ba mag-fly to Spain using, a Schengen visa na valid and apply to Spain UHE or basically directly here in Spain. So there are a lot of pros and cons that we have prepared for this week's live, but definitely welcome you guys. And I know we haven't yet hit like 7 p.m. on your guys' time. So I definitely want to wait a little bit till everyone comes on because definitely it's such an important topic. I feel like I keep reiterating this every once in a while just because based on this strategy, it really affects your chances for long term residency, Spanish citizenship, and just your chances for getting approved for the Spain Digital Nomad Visa. So, welcome you guys and hola nomadism and yeah, definitely it's been a long week. We opened for more calls, like free consultation calls starting this week. So now I'm doing like 6 calls a day. That's like Mondays through Fridays. Actually, the Friday one, I only do three. Pero still, my katawang lupa is starting to like kailangan ko mag-ipon na social energy for Valentine's tomorrow. So, happy Valentine's you guys. And okay lang kahit walang ka-date. Oo, walang problema yon. As long as, um, you're planning for your future here in Spain. So that's better use of your time anyways. So no problem kahit walang ka-Valentine. But welcome you guys. Definitely a lot of you guys are a little bit early coming on the live. But this week, we're gonna talk about whether saan mas best mag-apply depending on a few cases that we've had, depending on the numbers right now, and dun sa mga restrictions currently, we're gonna pinpoint more on the consulate in the Philippines because that is the majority of my audience. However, we're also gonna like mention if this is applicable for other consulates as well. And then I'm also going to talk about, like applying directly in Spain, which is in Spain UHE, your Unidad de Grandes de Empresas. Um, Definitely it's a little bit of a polarizing na topic because I understand even me guys I applied in the consulate because for me it felt like the safer route during that time. However, right now kasi just based on the statistics, the numbers and what we're hearing so far with other people as well in our DIY Blue App group. So, one of our viewers last week told me na baka kaya ako na shadow ban and nare-restrict kasi lagi ko daw sinasabi yung other competitors, ganyan. So, ayun lang naman for this week. I will definitely last time to comment daw this. Wait, give me 1 second. They told me to pin a comment daw. Oh no. Okay, hopefully this works. Okay, hopefully this works. Pero sabi, pwede ko daw ipin tong comment. Ayan, welcome guys. Give me 1 second as I try to like, okay, pin. Ayan, yan. Nakapin na yung minimum income requirement kasi daw, lagi siyang tinatanong. So, best daw na ipin siya so that hindi pa ulit-ulit. Parang kayo yung naunang nagsawa na paulit-ulit yung question about the minimum income requirement. But welcome everyone to this week's live and let's get started. So I do want to recap a little bit just because I know there are a lot of people that maybe ito yung una nilang napanood na live and I want to explain a little bit about the Spain Digital Nomad Visa. So the Spain Digital Nomad Visa was launched late 2023 um, in the Spain government anyways allows non-EU citizen like Filipinos to live legally in Spain while working for companies or clients outside of Spain. So a lot of people ask me, okay, pwede daw ba yung multiple clients? If you're an independent contractor or freelancer, yes. If pwede daw ba ang before or after taxes, usually they count before taxes. Kahit sa employee na setup. Other than that, a lot of people also ask me, saan daw galing yung client? Okay lang ba kung Filipino yung client and stuff? Yes, allowed kahit saan basta hindi galing sa Spain. Because the whole point of the digital nomad visa is that you're not competing with the job market in Spain. So, yes, you can technically have a client in Spain as long as it's not more than 20% of your total income. So, if you're making, the minimum income requirement which is 3,000 euro, like let's say around 3,000 euros, then that means dapat around 600 euros lang or under that yung kinikita mo na galing sa Spanish company. But of course, a lot of people also like, why does this exist and stuff like that. So because a lot of freelancers or like for example virtual assistants, remote employees, and even like online business owners that technically work for their own company, um, want to live maybe outside of the Philippines, ganyan. But definitely, it is a good path towards permanent residency or citizenship. So as Filipinos, you don't need kasi a Spanish employer. You just keep your remote clients and you just basically live here in Spain. And then after 2 years, you gain access to applying for citizenship. Of course, there are some qualifications for citizenship like yung language, ganyan. But definitely, we did that on another live as well. Sabi nung partner ko, wag daw ako dapat mag-steer away masyado sa topic. But definitely, that also opens visa-free travel around Europe. So if you are like a travel person, you don't really care much about the citizenship, it also opens up kasi yung Schengen area for you. But definitely, another thing is that, of course, this visa allows you to bring your family with you in Spain. So, like your spouse, your unmarried partners, it's especially helpful for LGBTQ partners, your children, adopted children, your parents, you can bring them with you. So you can still be a remote worker. I know a lot of like VAs and remote workers are usually breadwinners. So I totally understand the need na kailangan dala yung family with you. And that's the good thing about the Spain Digital Nomad Visa because you can bring your family with you. Also, another thing is that, of course, you gain access to Spain's public healthcare and social security system. So that's really helpful, especially for people that the problem kasi is if, for example, I stay in Spain, stay in the Philippines. The problem is, yes, I can save up more money, but the moment I get sick or someone in my family gets sick, like it totally like nawawala na siya kaagad. So that's definitely something that's a little bit disheartening with regards sa public healthcare system in the Philippines. Okay, I think I saw a question here asking, yes, you can travel around the Schengen area with a Spain digital nomad visa. Other than that, of course, another plus, which is like this is including me, is that with the Spain digital nomad visa kasi you technically eliminate some graveyard work, because I know a lot of us work graveyard shifts. Either like naka EST ka or PST and stuff like that. And Central European time is a little bit closer to them. So that really like helps then your health. And of course, if medyo nagsistruggle ka talaga sa graveyard shifts, graveyard shifts, I cannot talk today for some reason. Yeah, definitely. Ayon. Other than that, so like I said, there are two ways to apply for the Spain Digital Nomad Visa. So you either go with Spain Consulate, or you can go directly here in Spain. And the application is all done online via UHES portal. Other than that, I want to give you simple breakdown about it, and I want to talk a little bit about it. But definitely in the Spain consulate, you get 1 year renewable in Spain. So for example, yung 1 year mo, 60 days before matapos yung visa mo na yon, you can definitely renew agad para diretso ka na dun sa 3 years na ginagrant here in Spain. So, pag dito ka kasi sa loob ng Spain na nag-apply, you get 3 years directly sa first application mo. Other than that, of course, another plus here is that that 3 years counts for residency. However, the 1 year doesn't, because it's technically not a residency. So a lot of people were saying that okay, if hindi nagka-count yung 1 year, um why does it like matter na magpunta ng 1 year? So I understand kasi a lot of people want the ease and comfort of applying in the consulate. Kasi hindi ka mag-apply for Schengen visa if medyo feeling mo tagilid yung Schengen visa chances nyo and stuff like that, then definitely that really helps, you know. But ang problem kasi with UHE is that, yeah, like I said, kailangan mo ng Schengen visa to enter Spain and apply from here. Kasi you have to be legally inside of Spain at the time of application. But other than that, of course, another thing is yung timeline. The timeline is very different. In Spain consulate, or most consulates anyway, it's usually lasts around 30 to 90 business days, depending on how fast or slow the processing times are in the consulate. However, pag sa Spain uhe, it's always 20 business days. So, they legally enforce that na 20 business days dapat meron ka ng result, or at least you heard back from them whether they're asking for additional document request or diretso ng resuelto or result. So of course, with this, that's really good because if lumampas sila sa 20 business days in Spain uhe, then that means it will now go into positive administrative silence. So you can now request for positive administrative silence. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Basically by default, approve ka na. So a lot of people make use of this, especially yung mga hindi ma-renew yung 1 year nila agad. Kasi before, renewable ka agad yung 1 year na galing sa consulate. Tapos marerenew mo ka agad yun to the 3 years. Pero now, it's getting harder and harder to renew it agad. Like we have a success rate of 3 out of 5 clients. But definitely, other than that, of course, there is always a lower risk. Kasi you can wait at home with minimal life changes while waiting if you're gonna get approved or denied with the visa if you're applying from the consulate. However, if sa UHE, medyo high risk siya kasi you're already in Spain, you're already spending in euros, you already paid for the flights, paid for the Schengen tourist visa, that type of stuff. So that's why also we offer Schengen visa assistance services, because we it goes together. Alam mo yun? Like, it goes together yung Schengen visa process and the DNV. And we definitely believe now we are very competitive when it comes to pricing. But other than that, another thing that also I want to point out, because it is important for some people na maybe in the older side or have health risk, is that sa Spain consulate, health insurance is mandatory. Medical exam is mandatory. So, mandatory na kailangan mo mag-submit ng medical legal. If that, like, I think yun yung tawag, ganyan. But definitely, it's like medical clearance certificate na authenticated ng DOH. Kailangan yun if sa consulate ka. However, if sa Spain uhe ka, then there's no need for either of those. The health insurance is completely optional when you're applying from Spain uhe. Other than that, of course, another up is that in Spain, there's no personal appearance. So I understand a lot of people get scared with regards to personal appearance for visa processing. So in UHE, you just upload the documents on there. So there's no personal appearance. However, for the Spanish consulate, you usually have to book an appointment through BLS and then submit your documents in person. And if they require any additional document from you, you still have to submit that in person. Other than that, of course, in the Philippines anyways, in the consulate, nagre-require sila ng at least 3 years of accurately filed na income tax return. So that means kailangan na accurate siya with what you say you're making or sa mga contracts mo. So if nag-start ka kay client back 2022, kailangan makita nila yung 2022 filing mo, ganun. Like, ganun sila ka-strict. Other than that, of course, the NIE, which is the Numero de Identidad de Extranjera, is not optional if sa consulate. So you have to get that first. And I always tell them, ito yung first sa checklist mo. If you are DIYing and applying in the consulate, kailangan mo muna kunin yung NIE mo. Other than that, of course, Spain UHE has a little bit more easier approach in paperwork. Though, yes, recently nag-ask na sila ng proof of self-employed registration, and that basically means, for the Filipinos anyways, SSS certificate of contributions, BIR certificate of registration. If nagfa-file ka ng taxes, then that can be your annual income tax return. Or I've heard they also accept mayor's permit if sole proprietor ka, and DTI registration if sole proprietorship under yung economic activity mo. But other than that, of course, the NIE, especially if you are applying with a consultant like us, like Ate in Spain, you don't have to get your NIE. It's completely optional. Though I would say, kaya ko to ini-include dun sa package ko because I always have it in mind na approve na. Yung maa-approve tong client, everything's gonna go well. That type of stuff. And it's good to have the NIE, especially if they're living nearby Manila. Like, it's not gonna be that much of a problem. So get your NIE, get your digital certificate. Because this way, pagdating mo dito, you can get registered kaagad sa taxes. You get all the access that you need with your digital certificate. And that digital certificate also can be turned into clave, just by downloading stuff on your phone. So it's so easy yung post-approval process. So, a lot of people ask me like, wait, bakit sa package mo kasama yung NIE processing and stuff like that if hindi naman kailangan? So, it's completely optional. So, kung gusto mong kunin, okay lang. If masyadong busy, you think it's not gonna like, medyo mahaselan ka lang, then walang problema naman. You don't have to get it. But other than that, of course, yun yung main difference nila. Let's just answer some of the questions first. Ano pong requirements for Spain Digital Nomad Visa? So we do have a DIY guide and the link is in my bio and it's for free. So definitely you can click on that little icon. I think, I'm not sure actually how it looks like for you guys pala. But for me, it's on here on top. But I think maybe it's here in the bottom. Yung sa yung sa profile ko, but I have my link tree on there, and we have it on our website, atainspain.com. Okay, the next one is, okay, give me 1 second. Hello po, yung ITR po ba for DNV, ilang months po dapat? It depends where you're gonna apply. If you're applying in the consulate, like I said, they need 3 years of annual income tax returns. If you are applying in Spain, uhe, then you just need your BIR certificate of registration na dapat nakaregister yan at least 3 months from your application date. So, hindi pwedeng kahapon mo lang before ka umalis na nag-register, ganon. Other than that, I think another question that I've seen here is, there you go. Okay, for Schengen visa. For Schengen visa kasi it varies kung ano. Actually, ang ano niyan is it's very different kung ano yung requirements for Schengen visa versus kung ano yung requirements for the Spain Digital Nomad visa. For the Spain Digital Nomad visa, first and foremost, kailangan 100% remote yung work mo. And then second, kailangan na either independent contractor ka mag apply or employee. So for people na EOR or employee on record sa Philippines, and then they're also a independent contractor or freelancer, you have to pick. You have to pick either mag apply ka as an employee or as an independent contractor. You cannot combine those income to meet the minimum income requirement. So if sa Spain i-apply, I just need certificate of registration from BIR. No ITR needed. No ITR needed. Yeah. So don't forget though, BIR certificate of registration that has been registered for at least 3 months before your application. Other than that, of course, after nung makapili ka kung ano yung pag-a-applyan mo, if employee ka or independent contractor, you also have to think about if yung years of experience mo ang gagamitin mo or yung degree mo. First and foremost, I know a lot of people, ito yung path sa Philippines, right? You finish college and then you work, that type of stuff. But I also know that a lot of people also like didn't try out college or college didn't pan out for them or they're working in a field na hindi related sa degree nila. So if your degree is related, like for example, BS accountancy and then bookkeeper ka ngayon, that's very much like the same thing. Not really. But that's very like madali siyang i-connect. So definitely you can use your degree. And then for your degree, you just need to get that calved before you apostille it. But definitely, if hindi related yung degree mo, or wala kang degree, that's fine. Same as me, hindi related yung course ko. My course is BS Forestry. Hindi siya related to what I do. I do web development. So definitely I used my years of experience because I've been working with my company around that time for about 6 years. So I used my contract, my COE to prove that actually more than the 6 years, I even like showed or actually around that time hindi pa pala ako 6 years. Tama ba? Oh, hindi pa ako 6 years doon sa company. Parang 4 years pa lang ako. And I also showed kahit yung mga maliliit ko lang na clients, like mga clients ko na parang 6 months lang, 1 year lang, pinakita ko pa din yung mga COE galing from them. So, definitely, kaya pag magkukwit kayo, lagi kayong manghingi ng COE bago kayo magquit or bago kayo i-fire, ganon. Other than that, of course, the next is employed ka na ba or are you making the minimum income requirement for the last 3 months? So I know a lot of people have multiple clients, right? And then they ask me this question a lot. Okay, employed na ako dun sa 3 clients ko for 1 year. Ganyan, more than 1 year na sila lahat. Pero to reach the minimum income requirement, I need another one. And then kakastart ko lang sa kanila. And dahil hindi ganun ka-stable ang freelancing, medyo natatakot sila, pwede ba mag-apply na ako kaagad? So, no, you cannot. You have to wait na 3 months ka muna dun sa company na yun. Kasi I think they also think it the same way na first, of course, the rules is that you have to be meeting the minimum income requirement for 3 months But also, I think they're also looking at it as, tignan natin kung tatagal ka ng 3 months kasi technically that's a probation period. That's how usual employee contracts goes. So definitely, that's another one of like the eligibility. Of course, there is more in-depth stuff on it, and if you want that, I do offer free consultation calls, so you can click the link on my bio. But the next part is something that's really important, is yung income requirement. So there is a minimum income requirement, and I have it pinned here ngayong for single applicant. However, like I said in the beginning of this live, you can bring your family. So I want to talk a little bit about that, because for single applicants, na mag-isa lang magmo-move, the annual minimum income requirement is 34,188 euros. That's roughly around 201k pesos, Philippine pesos per month for 2026 if you're getting paid monthly. But if you're getting paid, for example, weekly, you have to compute it based on the annual. Kasi, for example, kung weekly ka binabayaran or bi-weekly, every 2 weeks, ka binabayaran, then that means hindi siya monthly yung counting. So it has to be annual. Usually that makes it a little bit higher than yung mga nababayaran monthly. So definitely check that out kung nababayaran ba kayo weekly or bi-weekly, kasi baka mali din yung computation nyo for the minimum income requirement. But other than that, I also want to talk about if you're bringing your family with you. So I want to talk a little bit about that. So kalma lang tayo, but this is a lot of numbers. So I'll try to make it a little bit slow. But definitely for the Spain Digital Nomad Visa, and this is in the DIY guide, by the way, and we post it on our Blue App page. So you can definitely check us out there. But definitely for single applicant, like I said, it's 2,849 euros per month. And then for single applicant plus one dependent, maybe your spouse, unmarried partner, your kid, your parent. Yung pets po, hindi po yun kasama. Hindi sila counted as dependents. Pwede nyo lang silang isama, kahit 5 aso yan, walang problema. Hindi sila counted as dependent. But if for a single applicant plus one dependent, that's 3,917 euros per month. Ngayon, let me pause because there has been I don't know if you guys are in the Blue App in the group, but I posted it there, yung mga critical updates recently, that has been basically, ito nag-come about siya because yesterday there was a press conference again with the UHE. So definitely etong etong critical updates na to came from there. So it's verbal first and foremost. So that's why I really wait a little bit before like making like telling people like, yeah, this is the new rules, that type of stuff. Because kung verbal lang, like it's so easy for someone to just say stuff or be a little bit mistaken, ganyan. And then internally nabago siya. So unless it's written somewhere, unless it's published somewhere on their official website and stuff like that, I don't suggest to follow it. But basically, sinabi kasi nila na, so one of the bullet points there was that for the savings, you can definitely now um make up for if kulang yung minimum income requirement, you can make it up for family of more if kahit 3,583. Like basically yung minimum income requirement last year. So that's first red flag. I was like, maybe they were counting it based on the minimum income requirement last year. But that's the first red flag about it. But also they said nothing else. Yun lang. So parang for two or more, eto na yung minimum income requirement, which does not make sense, and it should be a big thing, right? If they remove na itong pag-additional dependent. Kasi how they count it right now is 200% nung SMI, which is minimum wage nila sa Spain, for the one single applicant. And then, dun sa pangalawa, or single applicant plus one dependent, it's 75% of their minimum wage. And then, dun sa pangatlo, which is your second dependent, plus 25%. And then, pang-apat, plus 25%. So, tunod-sunod yan. So, that's how they counted before. So, if malaki kayong family, like it makes kind of sense that madadagdagan siya upwards and upwards a little. However, ayun yung parang in-announce nila na, and this is in, like I said, it's not in writing yet. Let's hope it will be in writing, and that, because that would help a lot of families to not overwork themselves to the bone to find so many clients to meet the minimum income requirement, especially if they're a big family. But basically, that's what they're saying right now. Na if ganon, if kunyari, ito lang yung minimum income requirement, if may kulang ka doon, so 3,583 lang daw, or 43,000 annually, yung titignan. And then kung may kulang ka doon, pwede mo siya i-make up for savings. Just before, you can make up for savings. So savings, so yung kulang mo, yung deficit mo doon sa minimum income requirement times 36, which is your 3 years stay here in Spain. And sa UHEL lang to, by the way, valid. But before, ganon. So, dapat up, like parang maximum na yung 200 euros yung kulang mo. But now apparently they're changing up the rules. So that's really good. But yeah, continuing, for a single applicant plus two dependent, right now it's 4,273 euros per month. And then single applicant plus three dependent, that's 4,629 euros per month. And for single applicant plus four dependents, that's 4,985 euros per month. And single applicant plus five dependents, that's 5,341 euros per month. So you see, ang taas niya, di ba? So if family of six kayo, so meron kayong apat na anak, and then, your husband and stuff like that. Yung 5,341, ang layo niya for the 3,500 something that they announced na two or more kasi yung nakalagay doon. So definitely I'm a little bit skeptic about it, but let's see. Definitely I didn't post it because I was not sure about it, and I'm always like that. If hindi ako sure, I wouldn't post about it, or if it doesn't make that much sense and might be just fear mongering, I don't post it. But other than that, sino ba yung pwedeng maging dependent? So we talked about this last week. So the dependents can be your spouse or marriage partner, can be your civil partner, can be your unmarried partner, so LGBTQ like also qualify as unmarried partners, minor children, adult dependent children, dependent parents that are over 80 years old. With this, there are three categories. So I said this last week's live, and we already posted the recap of that live. But basically, not recap. We actually posted the full live on YouTube as well. But basically, yung unmarried partners kasi, adult dependent children, and your dependent parents that are under 80 years old, medyo sila yung medyo complicated cases because you have to provide a lot of supporting documents to prove na, okay, they are my legal ward, they're my financial dependent, they're my legal dependent, they're my medical dependent, they're my, like talagang dapat dependent talaga sila sa'yo. Kailangan ng full legal proof about it. And before, affidavits and stuff like that works, but now they're really like verifying it. Kasi nga naman, pwede naman na friend mo, di ba, ganon. So, yeah. With siblings, yeah, they don't count as dependents. Because if you think about it, why would this adult person be dependent on you? Right? So, I know it's like a culture thing. But yeah, that doesn't count unless they are like maybe emancipated and ikaw yung legal guardian nila, then that could work. But other than that, of course, the plus of why people um bring their dependents with them is, of course, the public school here in Spain is for free, and so is your healthcare. So covered sila as long as nagbabayad ka ng social security and taxes mo. Covered yung buong family mo ng Spanish public healthcare. Also, your adult dependents can work in Spain full time. No cap of hours, no cap of how much they're making. They have a work permit. They're allowed to work. They're allowed to look for work. Blue collar, white collar, it doesn't matter. So we've talked about that like last week, but definitely I wanted to reiterate that as well here. Other than that, of course, we already talked about kung saan better mag-apply and stuff like that. But I want to talk about requirements wise, it's also a little bit different. So that's why if you see our DIY guide, it looks like it's divided into, well, first it's a lot of pages. I actually don't know how many pages it is because I am constantly trying to like update it, but I think it's like about 29, 30 pages. But definitely the first thing there is that, okay, ito yung for consulate, applying for consulate, and then this is for applying for Spain OHE. So I made it separate because I DIY'd both applications when I did it myself. So I want to make sure if you're gonna choose to apply in the consulate, if you're gonna choose to apply in Spain OHE, you'd know the step by step. So definitely nandun yun lahat. Like for example, if you're applying in the consulate, the first thing you need to do is get your NIE. So your NIE is basically your parang identity number mo here in Spain. So you have to get that. You don't have to be ready with your requirements yet. That's why sa step 2, dun ko palang nilalagay yung build your document list and timeline. So tsaka ka palang magbi-build ng document list and timeline. And then step 3 is to book your appointments on time. So you don't want to be like, okay, mag-expire na tong document na to and stuff like that. So most of the time, all of the documents expire almost 6 months, the apostles and stuff like that. But for Spain consulate applications, nag expire yung medical clearance, dapat within 3 months siya dapat. Oo. So, definitely watch out for that. But I have all the requirements, including yung apostle, sworn translate, kung ano ba yung need na i-apostle, ano yung need i-sworn translate, because I get this question a lot. But a quick tip about that is that anything that comes from the government needs to be apostilled. Anything that comes from you does not need to be apostilled. Anything that comes from client does not need to be apostilled. And then anything that comes from example like online, like naka-Spanish na siya, ganon, yung mga application form and stuff like that, then hindi na yon kailangan na i-apostle. So yun yung apat for apostle. For, let's say, sworn translation. Anything that comes from the government, because it's been apostilled, needs to be translated. Anything that has been apostilled needs to be sworn translated. Anything that comes from you, like your CV, your application forms and stuff, does not need to be sworn translated. Anything that comes from a private entity, meaning your bank accounts, that type of stuff, invoices, payslips, does not need to be sworn translated. However, there are some cases na tinatanong yung payslip to be sworn translated, but that can be a follow-up thing for an additional document request. But another thing that needs to be sworn translated is anything coming from your company. So anything like your contracts, your certificate of employment, letter authorizing you to work remotely in Spain, all of those needs to be sworn translated. So I hope that gives you a little bit of idea. And then of course, after that, after mo ma-build yung document list and requirements mo, you need to stay updated with rule changes if you're DIYing your application. So usually with my clients, I do this for them. So before I even like post anything, I would already contact clients that are affected by major or critical updates before I post it for all of you guys. But definitely, if all good ka naman, then just submit the documents. Then once you submit the documents in the consulate, you have to wait for approval. Let's answer some of the questions before we move on to the process for Spain UHE. How much po ang income ng isang nomad applicant? So we do have a pinned comment po about that. And of course, we have it also in the Blue app or also in the website. Um, okay, next. How much income? Okay. Okay. Sa SSS po, if sa Spain mag-a-apply, need ba talaga 3 years ang makita na bayaran sa individual? You have to be registered. Ang sabi ngayon ha, you have to be registered for at least 3 months before your application. For SSS though, they don't really see kung kailan ka nag-switch from corporate to like from employee to independent contractor. So technically ang registration date mo doon is if you ever had a corporate job before na nagbayad ng SSS mo, yun yung makikita doon. Other than that, and also I wanna just clarify by the way, so a lot of people are asking me, meron po ba kayong copy ng document na to or sample and stuff? I can give some of the samples, but for documents, if I don't have them, if like for example I didn't when I applied, because this was like what 2 years ago almost. When I applied, they didn't ask for SSS, for BIRCOR and stuff. So I didn't have any of those. So I cannot share them. Kahit kasi redacted, i-redact ko pa siya sa Adobe Acrobat, yung mga documents. I'm not sure if I'm comfortable sharing information of my client. So that's why I don't, when you see me guys don't answer that, it's usually because I don't have that. And of course, the templates and stuff like that are for my clients. But I do have some of the templates din naman sa website. Ayun. Other than that, in 2025, 2,763 euro for single. Magiging for 4K na. No. So, it's 2,800. 2,840. Actually, nakapin yan sa comments, guys. But 2,849 euros per month po siya. Yes. Ayun. Now we have another question. For BIR, do they have to see the total amount you're earning? So in your BIR certificate of registration, there is no indication magkano yung binabayaran mo. So, with some people, what they do, nagre-register sa BIR for the certificate. Lumabas yung Tagalog. Ay, yung BIR certificate of registration, kukuha sila. And then they just pay maybe minimum, ganyan, or konti lang, para lang hindi ma-flag or ma-audit. But definitely, hindi nila tinitignan yung quarterly tax returns mo right now anyways, so things change, in UHE, but I'll update you guys if ever hinihingan man sila, pero BIR COR lang talaga yung tinitignan. Pwede po mag-schedule for assistance. Yes, so I have free consultation calls, and it's in the link in my bio, because I cannot say stuff here, but it's in the link in my bio. The only thing I do for a heads up is that I know it's fully booked. I think until April. I'm really sorry, guys. Like I really don't know a way around it because I wanna keep Ate in Spain. As much as possible na ako lang yung kausap nyo, from beginning to end. And I can only do 6 calls a day. And that's apart from calls that I have to do with clients or I have to do with onboarding clients. So, and I still keep my day job. Like I'm still a web developer. I'm still VA. So, ayun lang naman. So, I'm really sorry if I really can't. I can't. I'm sorry. If medyo puno. But definitely, that's something na I've learned din naman here in Spain is that good things come slow, hindi kailangan madaliin yung stuff. So definitely our appointment will get there. We also have emergency appointments, but they're paid because I take it out from my hourly from my actual job. But also that for emergency lang talaga siya. Like for example, like if you've seen the post in our group, basically yung mga na-ask sila ng additional document request or na-ask sila ng okay, may denial letter, ano yung appeal and stuff. So yun, mga emergency yun. Or for example, mag-a-apply na sila in a month or 2 months tapos may bagong update and they want to talk to me about it, then yeah, that is definitely an emergency. Pero ayun lang naman. I'm so sorry. I swear I'm not I don't think there's even a way to like edit the numbers. But yeah, yun lang naman. Other than that, where in Spain do you live? Oh my God! Hi! Got my Spanish passport. So right now I'm living in Barcelona, but we are moving. So we are in the process of moving. And Oh my god, so many gastos. So many gastos and stuff. But yeah, we're in the process of moving to a different city. So I'm gonna do probably another video about that. But yeah, I can't believe I'm leaving Barcelona so like soon. So can't believe it. But it's happening. So that's nice. Ayun. Any experience with those who apply from another country? Example, OFWs who want to do DNV, PH or UHE. So with clients, I've had clients that, for example, they're in an employment visa in Canada or student visa in Canada or in the US as well, or for example they're in another Schengen country. So I always recommend to apply in UHE, because if you want to go for the long haul, because you will get approved for a Schengen visa if you've already been outside of the country for more than once, and if you're an OFW, that means you've been working and you have proof of employment and stuff like that. So I always recommend to go UHE route or directly in Spain mag-apply. And the process would look different depending on what type of visa you're coming into Spain with. So definitely book a consult call, because in the consult call we evaluate your eligibility, ano yung maybe kulang mo na requirements or magiging hurdle for your case, and then I give you the step by step. So I give you an option if you want me to explain either yung DIY process or yung consultation process, or like if you are engaging with our services. But also I can explain both. So sometimes some people like, pwede pa explain both para makita ko yung difference, ganyan. Then that's definitely fine. It's just that for me, mas marami kayong time for Q&A if ever isa lang yung pinili, 'di ba? So other than that, let me look. Lastly, independent contractor requires certificate of good standing ng clients pa po if I have three. Yes, so with the list that you can see on the DIY guide, your contracts, for example, anything that comes for your client from your company, if multiple ka na clients, multiple din na documents tong kailangan mo. So, make sure that you guys watch out for that. Ayun. Other than that, how much uli ang rumored minimum? There's no rumored. We already have a confirmation that the minimum income requirement for a single applicant is 2,849 euros per month. So we also have that on the website updated na. Parang last week pa, I think. Other than that, are there a lot of tech companies in Barcelona area that you're aware of? Former AVP here. Well, actually, I haven't had a search, like thorough search, but my soon to be husband is coming to me. So we're still in like ganito, like if where we're gonna live. But he is in also in the IT field, but it's more of like engineering field. So he did look it up, and there are of course major companies, but Madrid has more IT like related stuff. Tech hub ata talaga yung Madrid eh. I thought of Barcelona to settle. Really? Like I'm not sure if you want to settle in Barcelona. Any experience with those who apply from another? Okay, I think I've answered this as well. Okay. Okay, just ko Lord. Oh my god. Ah, sorry, ang dami nangyayari. Sorry, I heard nasa 4K kanina. Is that for ones with dependents? Yes, this one's for dependents. Cost of living is very high in Barcelona in regards to rent. So I am in the process of making another video actually about cost of living before I say goodbye to Barcelona. Ganun. But definitely everything else is kind of not as different. We've visited a lot of our friends from other parts of Spain, and I feel like it's not that different. Talagang ang main mo na problem is yung rent here is very high. Like it's very high. Whenever I post that we got this apartment for 750 because my sister-in-law has been living here for the past like 6 years, everyone goes crazy na. No way. It's that cheap. Like, so apparently it's really expensive here in Barcelona. I mean, not apparently. I mean, I know it's very expensive here. So ayun. Where are you moving to? Oh, it's a secret. Do you need to learn Catalan? Because Catalan ain't a Spanish dialect but a different language. Yeah. So I might. So we are now probably gonna talk. So if you guys don't know, small update, the 1 year doesn't count, 'di ba? So eto na talaga. Hindi daw siya nagka-count yung 1 year visa from the consulate for citizenship. And if you guys know me and have been following me, I did get it from the consulate. And if you guys know me also, the story of everything is that I wasn't sure if I was gonna stay here yet. Kasi I moved here with zero Spanish. I moved here like, "Okay, tara na, like, let's go," gano'n. So, sobrang I didn't know. And also, it was my first time to meet my sister-in-law actually and lived with them. So, I didn't know if she was gonna like me and stuff, if she was gonna be nice, ganyan. Because she seemed nice, but who knows, with in-laws. But, ayun. So, it took me a while before I renewed for my digital no for so from the Spain consulate visa to the residency via the Teletrabajador Character International, which is yung parang DNV nung residency na 3 year. So it doesn't count, and I've been here, well, almost gonna be 2 years. But since around 6 to 8 months didn't count, that's why I decided, okay, let's just move because when it was in Barcelona and okay, magwa 1 year na ako dito, sayang naman yung magto 2 years na. So, wag na lang ako lumipat. I'll just study the language and stuff like that. So, yeah. So, it didn't work out like I hoped it would, which is fine because I'm pretty young. Oh, pretty young. I'm young naman. Parang in my head, I'm like, you're young. It's fine. Like, some out, ganon. So, it's definitely fine to just not worry about it. And I'm not in a rush. I still have the 3 years. I mean, I still have 2 years left. So, it's not gonna be too bad to wait a little for the citizenship application. So hopefully, we're moving to a place that doesn't require me to learn Catalan or Valencian. Yeah. 'Di ba, ang dami kong update. Gaano pa katagal bago makuha ang NIE? It depends, but right now it's very fast. Parang 1 week lang since the appointment of my clients, they already got their NIE. That's the same minimum regardless of consulate and UHE application. Yeah, this year, it's the same na. So, yeah. Um, what company are you working for po as a VA? I'm working with a couple of companies because I'm a web developer. So a lot of the companies I worked with are not fixed contracts. However, yung main client ko, main source of income ko is from the US, and one of them is from Europe, but not Spain. So, yeah, that's where most of my income comes. That's my day job. Day job pero gabi ginagawa. Okay, need ba talaga matuto ng Spanish? Not for the application for the visa, but yes, for the citizenship. And A2 level lang yun, guys. Kaya nyo yun. Like, A2 level is very much being able to read like a third grade English. Ganon. So, kaya mo na, flower is beautiful. That flower is beautiful. So, parang, very, lang siya, like, hindi mo kailangan yung super complex, super conversational yet. Ayun. Can you transition DNV to working visa if you get here in Spain anytime? Yes, if they're willing to sponsor you. Yes. Um, they still racist towards us? Not really. I've never had a negative interaction. I've visited a lot of not just in the past years that I've been living here. But also in the past, just in the past before I got the DNV, I visit my partner because he is living in Germany. So we'd visit a lot of European countries together, and ayun. We'd had more bad interactions then than I've had since living here for almost 2 years. Like, they're like the nicest, warmest people ever. Like, I always told people then here, like, there's a grandma downstairs that's really nice and would practice Spanish with me a little, ganyan. So I feel bad actually that I've been so busy. I rarely come by, but yeah, they're not racist towards us. Of course, there are homeless people that are racist just in general, and they're weird. But like, why do you care? They're like racist. Like, they're of course like that because they're homeless, you know, or they're like that, and that's why they're homeless. So not not something that I care about, but in general, it's been really warm. And I try as much as possible to mingle din kasi. So, kahit I have my own kind of like office in my room, so we have a two-bedroom. So, kind of have my own office. I still like going to co-working spaces, just meeting other people as well. And they're really nice. Yeah. I think they don't like white people though. They don't like Americans or Canadians. Ganyan. Hello po, we have a scheduled consultation ng 17. Yung reminder and confirmation po ba is sent a day before? 2 days, actually 48 hours before. So it's a 48-hour confirmation policy. And also, if you miss the confirmation, it's usually in your spam. I'm not sure. I think I might go back to my last SMTP provider. Just because I think now our emails are getting weird. Anyways, lagi siya napupunta sa spam. Ayun. Other than that, see. Okay. Need po ba ng ITR? Depends po saan kayo mag apply. Can I stay other Schengen country while holding the DNV? No. So you have to be inside of. Well, wait. It depends. What is your long-term goal? Because technically, there is a rule in Schengen area na 9180. Basically, you have to be staying 90 days out of the 180 to where your residency is. So if for example, wala ka namang pakialam sa ma-renew yung ma-renew yung visa mo, you just are here for the 3 years, you don't care about the citizenship or permanent residency, then yeah, you can. But if you care about citizenship and stuff, I suggest you follow yung limitations like that. And we did live about that as well on about citizenship. Where did you apply, if I may ask? I've been looking for a legit VA and planning to work in Spain. So, with applications kasi, I don't know. It's just, I think I had a lot of good karma in my life after having a pretty rough childhood. Um, but to be honest with you guys, the ones that I have been with forever, they are like the nicest people. Oh, thank you so much, guys. But they're like the nicest people ever. They're the nicest, like mag-asawa kasi yon na Americans that I'm working for. And I just found them through a VA agency, and they bought my parang 6 months in, and they bought my um contract. And that was back then, like, so meant so much to me because I was before working with medium agency in the Philippines that handles like content creators, models, ganyan. Tapos yung Miss MUPH. So they used to handle that, and I got burnt out and I got sick for a while, and then I started looking for work online kasi one of my coworkers said, "Hey, if because you're sick and stuff like that, maybe you can try looking for jobs online and stuff like that." So, ayun, because I don't really have parents to like as a fallback, you know. So I've always been pretty independent and on my own pretty much. So, ayun. So I think like I don't believe much on religion and stuff, but think it was really like just good karma coming my way. So mahirap talaga maghanap. So don't get discouraged. It's really hard, especially now because a lot of people already know about it, and there's always a new business, there's always a new client coming around. So ayun, like I would always say na patigasan lang talaga ng loob. So if you still have a corporate job, keep that. Keep your corporate job pa din. And then dun maghanap ka ng remote job, and then once that your remote job, your freelancing career is a little bit stable, tsaka mo lang quit yung corporate job, because you also don't know if you're gonna like being a freelancer. It has a lot of anxieties and a lot of mental fortitude na kailangan. Yan. Other than that, yan. Is there any questions? Uh, can dependents work in Spain? Yes, they can. They don't no cap ng hours, no cap of how much they earn. How can I apply a hospitality job like kitchen helper in Spain from Philippines? So I don't really like know. Like I stay in my lane of what I know. So I'm not gonna be here out here like giving advice to something I don't know. But definitely check out Bonjoa España. They do give advice for like people that are looking for jobs here in Spain and stuff like that. Hugs to you, Miss Alex. Aw. Yeah, I think everything just either works out for people that have a rough childhood, or it just goes downhill from there. Which, like, there's only like so much you can do then. If you are dealt a bad hand. But definitely, yeah, like, it was rough. Thanks for sharing your experience. This will help when I get to Barcelona later this year. Oh, that would be really nice. And if you guys are like available, just message me. And the moment I have a time to breathe, I'll be able to like come visit you. So a lot of people here at Barcelona are starting to like see each other, and I feel like I need to join them. Like I want to join them, but just running Athens Spain and having my day job is a lot. And we're like saving up a lot. We're trying to save up a lot because there's a lot of like weddings happening this year that we have to go to. And that's the downside of having I guess like intercultural relationship. There's just so much going on, and all our family is all over. So ayun. But definitely, I'd love to see it, you guys. Yung salary po, okay lang na dalawang clients to reach your minimum income requirement. Yeah. So you can have multiple clients. Planning, how much kaya ang cost for family of four? I wouldn't know exact, like, so it's hard to give you like, okay, cost for family of four, eto, ganyan. So I did do a breakdown of like costs that will come up with the Spain Digital Nomad Visa, and that's on the Blue App page. Yeah, that's in the Blue Up page of Athens, Spain. And you can do the computation a little bit on yourself. Kasi, ano yun, like for example, sworn translations are 20 to 25 euros per page. Now, each applicant has different pages. Hindi ko alam kung gaano kahaba yung contract ng isa, gaano kahaba yung contract ng isa, 'di ba? So, depende kung saan galing tong paper mo, then it would be different pages minsan. Kung diploma ba yung gagamitin mo, 'di ba? Yung mga ganon. It's a lot of intricacies, so I cannot give you like an amount talaga, ganon. Can I apply in Spain? But my multiple entries only 25 days. Schengen starts 20th April to 25th of May. Yes, you can apply inside of Spain. 25 days is fine. There's no problem because basta for pagpasok mo pa lang, mag-apply ka na kaagad, or at least habang valid pa, mag-apply ka. Because if you have a pending residency application, you are allowed to stay legally inside of Spain. So, walang problema. With our clients, we only ask 10 days. Nasa swertehan lang nabibigyan sila 30 days, 90 days, ganyan. Recently, sobrang ano ng Spain sobrang generous. 90 days lagi, tas multiple entry with our clients. Next questions. Planning po mag-apply ng DNV po. Watching from Taiwan. How can you help me po? So, we do have the eligibility quiz on the web. Know myself. I know my limits of helping people. So as much as possible, if you have specific questions that's not on the DIY guide and stuff like that, can definitely ask me. Wala namang problema. But you have to read some stuff first because it's hard to start from zero and kind of like explain it to you. Or if you want me to like do that, then definitely just book a free consult call as well. So we can have like some one-on-one time. You're very informative and helpful. May receive more good karma. Oh, thank you so much. That's so nice, Klein. Pwede ba ikaw yung bigyan ko ng gift dito sa TikTok? That's so nice. It's rare I get thank yous here on TikTok. Which I understand it's very we live in a world that is very transactional. So unless you pay for something and it did you good, I guess people don't value it as much. So definitely I'm thankful when people say thank you because that's so nice. I grew up in a household that like sorry and thank yous were non-existent. So it's really nice when so it means a lot. Ayun. Okay, let me see. There's new. Wow, just really happy with your generosity and sharing knowledge. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I try my best. Even with the DIY guide, I try my best to like put all the information out there. Actually, a lot of my friends say that I should charge maybe at least lagyan ng paywall kahit piso lang with the because they said psychology wise daw in marketing pag you input just inputting your card info or kahit piso lang yan just adding like oh something has value people will read it more so sometimes I think of that and also I'm thinking of that just because of the terms and conditions because I have been seeing it circulating online yung DIY guide, and some people are selling it and stuff. So I'm trying to like figure out a way to minimize that. Like more power to you, but like yeah, they didn't even do a good job hiding the logo and stuff like that. So it was funny. But okay lang 'yun. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much then for just sharing. Just sharing really helps as well. The algo and stuff like that. And I know, sobrang tamad ko mag-post here on TikTok. I don't know. I'm really a private person before all of this. So it's still hard for me. I salute people like Aliana Vlogs, Aliana Life in Spain, I think is her name here on TikTok. Aliana is really good with capturing very good moments and just everyday humdrum of life here in Spain as a Spain digital nomad visa holder, and it helps because they're also like a couple as well. So ayun, I think you guys should watch her if you like vlogs and stuff like that because it's just definitely helpful sa if you want to see how life here in Spain is or Yanni Isla as well. But Yanni is more of very informative then. But definitely me, I just try to be informative. But people say that's working against me. But to be honest, money making thing. Of course, I have to make money, but in a sense, it's just a really good passion project for me. Because I was already doing this for free anyways. So I'm like, okay, might as well, like have a structure to it and stuff. So like every website, I like the website, the posts and stuff like that. Like a lot of intention comes with it. And I like that it comes across that. About pala. Good evening. I'm planning to transfer to another country, but I'm still working here in Singapore. Yeah, that's good. I'm not sure though how I could help with that. I must buy something from PH when I go to Spain in April. Yeah, actually, I send my clients like a guide of a guide, like pre-flight guide. So I send it to them once they book their flight. And I put a lot of sappy things there because that's just me. I'm unapologetically sappy and emotional. You know, when I'm happy, I'm happy. When I'm sad, I sad. When, like I'm like that. Like wala akong hindi ako nonchalant. Ako yung chalant-chalant talaga. But definitely, I send them like a pre-flight guide. Yung mga need nila i-pack from Philippines, mga maybe they need to do before leaving the Philippines. There are some stuff there, like for example, cessation of activity and stuff. But mostly it's just like, with your family and stuff like that. So, yeah. Ayun. Medyo similar na po yung requirements ang UHE and sa Pinas. Is it still more lenient sa UHE pa din? Yes, 100%. And you get the 3 years. So that's super nice. Kasi pag lenient, when you mean lenient kasi, okay, how do I explain this? Okay, the easiest way to explain this is if you have been seeing or in our Blue App group, which is the link is in my bio, guys, to join that group that helps other people DIY, of course, the digital nomad visa then here in Spain. There has been no approvals in the consulate there for been a while. A while. When I say like November, like wala pa. So definitely it is a little disheartening, but also it kind of makes sense why also they're becoming lenient with Schengen tourist visa, yung Spain consulate. So I think they just want people to apply in UHE because I don't know. We don't know why, but yeah, but definitely UHE is still more lenient because you know what to expect from them. And yung i-expect mo na requirements and stuff. And if you have everything, you got everything prepared, then there's not gonna be a problem. However, if sa consulate kasi, they tend, if like, how do I say this? Like they are from the Philippines, not necessarily Filipinos and stuff, but they know how Philippine stuff works. So for example, in BIRCOR is not enough because they know that the thing to really check if you've been paying your taxes is your income tax return. So don't forget UHE handles not just the Philippines, like a lot of countries. So they want it to be as much as possible that all countries can provide this document. So, ayun. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me this week. And if you guys have no other questions, I just want to say thank you for joining the live. And if you guys have questions that maybe weren't tackled here, just leave them either in the comment section if you are watching this as a replay, or leave it on any of my videos. I check all of them naman for comments and stuff. It just takes me a while to get to them. Because like I said, I'm really like stretching myself thin. But definitely another thing that I do want to announce in this is because you'll probably be receiving, some of you might be receiving, especially the ones that I already had the consultation with and was planning to sign up. I will send you an email today about a tentative price increase. Just because I've always had the cost the same for the past year. And the euro and peso is not faring well anymore. When I first decided the price, so definitely that's something that is gonna be an update. But I'm also updating the inclusion, so I'm adding more inclusions there to give you more of a hands off. Like, okay, hindi mo na need pumunta for your DFA appointment, that type of stuff. Ayun. Ayun lang naman guys. But thank you so much for watching this week's live. And like I said, don't be a stranger if you ever come here in Spain, even if you're not my client. I'll still try and see you guys. And thank you so much for watching. Ciao!